do a pre-6. You needed to be able to take it out before it ends up scaling into an absolute monster. I just don't know if that's going to be the answer.
What tarnation is going on here? The Ezreal comes out again.
You've cussed on broadcast. Take the hat off. It's done. The Texas man is too much. You've cussed on broadcast. I won't have it. I won't have it.
It's tarnation. I sell propane and propane accessories. All right. Now we gonna see what we got here. Hat's still on, Oisin. We're all in for a wild ride as we're gonna get the non-fried catfish himself, Kench, Thomas the Kenchus.
And yeah, the Tahm Kench coming in again worked exceptionally well for IG in game 1. We can maybe see them go towards something again like the Diana. I highly doubt we're gonna be seeing
I ain't seen nobody hover the Elise in a long time. There'll be some
go with the Diana,
buckaroos.
yeah. Go with the Diana. That's totally fine now to kind of make it work. But it is, you know, again, just kind of anyone's legend trying to find a combination for this. And honestly, I think IG have, yeah, they don't really need to do anything different than what they did in game 1.
Why are they stealing each other's comps? Anyone's legend's like, okay, IG, I saw what you did last game. We're gonna take some pieces of that, see what happens. But no, it's a little bit rough here. Oh shit, it's a little bit windy. My hat's starting to fall off. Fiora banned in the second round though.
Yeah, you're going to ban away the Fiora. You're going to ban away things that can, you know, obviously do well into ZDZ. Zika is a very good carry player in that regard. But we saw him in the game 1 as well, where they went with the Sion mid. They didn't really have a problem with the Jax going into Zika's hand. Even if ZDZ does pick up something like a Camille, it's not that big of a deal. It will do fine in the laning phase, but it's about, again, proactivity. It's about being a team... being a team that can just roam around the map, do things proactively, because both times we've seen both teams who didn't have the Senna just sit down, relax, and not do anything until about 15-20 minutes, and at that point it was too late.
Yeah, at that point they're slow as molasses in January. You ain't seen nothing yet after that. But it's all about this next ban for IG, because they're going to be focusing more the mid lane, as we're going to have that focus in the second phase. This is really hard, Oisin. I can't keep this up very long. But I wonder...
Take a rest.
The volatility,
the accent's
the
tough.
volatility of the top lane is what I'm looking at here. We saw them both go for the side lane focus in last game. It did not work out for IG, but they banned away the Swain.
Yeah, they ban away the Swain. They ban away things that can, you know, again, survive in these long extended skirmishes, because that's what IG want. When you have the Senna and the Tahm Kench, the longer the skirmish goes on without you losing anybody, the more you heal up, the more you just kind of mitigate on the side of anyone's legend. And now, honestly, they're going to try and blind their top lane after banning away the Jax and the Fiora. There are still options available, like the Gwen here for IG. Yeah, and you could just go for an AD solo lane. The Yone is still available, the Yasuo. You could just go with a much more upfront damage composition than you did in game 1.
I don't know if you ever read Where the Red Fern Grows, but I learned from a young age not to run around with sharp things. But IG want to run at you with sharp things here with the scissors in Gwen. I think this is a pick that could be pivotal for this series that we have not seen yet today.
We haven't seen it just yet. Gwen, of course, exceptionally powerful in her own right. Just like a little bit to ramp up, but when you ramp up, it does become an absolute nightmare. We've seen many a solo kill just using those needleworks and, of course, the skip and snip. But for IG, where do you round this one off? You've got decent engage coming out from the Diana with follow-up as well. And honestly, an old-school combination, but it still works exceptionally well.
Woo!
And you got yourself a little bit of a combination or a bit of a flex as well. You could put the Gwen mid or top, either one, whichever one you decide works better for you. So anyone's legend, maybe thinking in kind, maybe thinking, okay, we kind of need to pick something that can do well into either the Gwen or the Renekton. Akali should be able to fit that bill. Again, always struggles at the start of the game, but is still very strong once you get to those late game team fights.
That's a scary crocodilian. I don't know how about big brain analysis is going to be on that one, but it's scary to me. It is the Akali locked in, though, for anyone's legend. So Forge going to have a little bit more agency this time around. I think that can unlock them a little bit, but it all centers on Xiaohao to start it off. It all centers on this Zhao.
Yeah, again, we're looking towards the junglers. You're looking at the primary engage coming out from IG is going to be on that Diana. You've got the Moonfall. You've, of course, got the Lunar Rush as well to get you into position. And on the other side of it, Anyone's Legend, they've actually fixed a lot of their issues going to be ahead in game number 1. It's the fact that they have got engaged. They've got ways of starting a fight outside of the Bard. The Bard is good, but it needs to be God tier if it's going to make any kind of a difference. You've got the Camille. You've got the Zhao to be able to kind of follow up on that. So both teams drafting slightly differently. But again, I still think that it's the proactivity that's going to be the issue right now, because if you just leave that Senna in the bot side to just farm up the Tahm Kench to get up to that Frostfire Gauntlet, that's where this game becomes very, very difficult for the side of for Anyone's Legend. And for IG, they're just going to be playing a slow and steady game plan.
I think we've seen oh, my hat's coming. I think we've seen, oh no. All right. I think we've seen a very different spiel going through both these teams, because it's been very one-sided for both sides. And I think when you're looking to this third game, what we see a lot of times in the LPL is we get a lot more of a reserved early game. We get a lot more respect given to both teams. But with the way the comps have panned out, the skirmishing early can tend to be a snowball that both these teams can play towards.
Yeah, absolutely. The skirmishing, we saw how pivotal it was. It was a bit of a slow burn in game 1, but once it started to get going, the kills just kept coming for IG, and it is going to be a very similar situation for them right now. As we jump into the game, it is going to be Zika on the Gwen with the Renekton in the mid lane, but this is now where we start to see where both these teams, their adaptations, their draft, kind of experience in this series comes to fruition.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to see the difference between a 6-shooter and a P-shooter in this one. I can't let it go. I can't let it go, Oisin. But it is going to be, I feel like, if we get the early blood, if we get that early focus, we'll see automatically where teams want to put their resources, right? And for me, it's a little bit of a different focus for both teams. I feel like you still, for Anyone's Legend, want to find ways to get Forge ahead, but I think CDZ will be okay farming it out in the early game in top lane. I would like to see them try to finally find a way to get early game focus on this Senna bot lane, maybe. I mean, I don't think it's going to come to fruition, but at this point, the Senna has been such an issue in every single game. We've seen nobody be able to put it down.
Yeah, look, you do have an awful lot of agency in all of your lanes as Anyone's Legend. You should still do well into mid lane as the Akali into the Renekton. Again, into the Camille, into the Gwen. You should do fairly decently in the first few levels, but it is going to come down to how you can be proactive, how you can actually make things happen around the map with this Zhao, which is slowly creeping back up into the meta. We kind of lost it for a while, and now all of a sudden people are recognizing you need a strong early skirmishing jungler, kind of like season, 2022 spring. Zhao is kind of your guy.
True that. The Venn diagrams were nuts. But we don't get that this time. Actually, I guess we do with the Hextech Ultimatum. It's not a circle, but it's semi-circle.
Hextech Ultimatum, Crescent Guard, the
Shroud,
Tempered Fate,
the Tempered Fate,
the Shroud. We could have multiple different.
The Crescent from the True Shot Barrage is a half circle, so you can kind of like go with that. No, but it is. The combos are going to be kind of nuts, but it's more so for Anyone's Legend. The way they're going to find kills is single target focus, one target, more than likely Wink or even Zika if they can get him on the side. But it will be that full in focus onto that one target, get them down, move on to the next. If they can't do that, that's where things get a little bit tricky for Anyone's Legend. They really need to find that one lockdown. Right?
Yeah, and again, look, we didn't really get to talk about.
Wow. Just flashed?
Okay, Xiaohao, but he's going to be spotted. Is he? No, he's not. He didn't get spotted.
But look at this.
Yuekai's already making a move right now, so they don't know exactly where it is. EDC's underneath the tower. Yuekai's already ready for the dive. Zika going to go straight towards him.
But
they don't know the Renekton's here. They're going to jump straight on top of him. ZDZ first blooded by the Renekton. IG called it. Xiaohao doesn't have flash, but they're going to get the TP out of him. They're going to try and burst him down straight away. They will get him as well. And there's another TP coming back. That's ZDZ joining back into the fray, but you're no longer underneath the tower. Anyone's Legend, they tried to go for the Giga Brain move, but it was just, so sad.
I gotta bring in a saying that we all know and love, and it's the best laid plans of mice and men right there. I mean, holy cow.
I mean,
This is so rough. This is so rough for Anyone's Legend. Xiaohao burned his flash for this to try to get a crazy backdoor gank here. But it was Yuekai with the big brain. It was Shun with the big brain. Like, this is incredible stuff from IG early on.
Yeah, and again, it's just, you know, Xiaohao trying to, you know, 5D chess out of this by flashing over, dodging the vision, saying, look, you're not going to be able to catch me out. But because of the movement from Yuekai on this Renekton, having that early priority is going to just completely ruin that. And now you're both solo lanes that we talked about are going to have a much better... Oh, no. QiuQiu, my boy. My boy.
Yeah, you know.
It's not to be. Not to be.
That was a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. You know, at least you see the timings, okay? The timings. QiuQiu's looking for it, okay? I'll be your hype man, QiuQiu. Don't worry. I'll be your hype man, Oisin, because that's all I provide is hype. But we got priority game in the bottom lane right now for Wink and XinLiu, and I think right now we do have the early dragon spawning, but as we saw it develop last game, that really wasn't a big focus for the teams. We do see that Xun is down bottom lane and has priority, so it could be that early focus, which would be lending into IG's hands, especially with this early lead they've gained. I mean, they're almost at 2,000.
Yeah, and it is, again, IG are going to have full priority now. They have mid push, they've bot push, resets are coming in here for anyone's legend, so the Dragon's going to go over to IG. They've got themselves a gold lead, they've got themselves the objective lead. They're even doing this at a time that's so early that anyone's legend can't even think about maybe trading back the Rift Herald. There's just nothing you can do in this particular situation. And if the game goes exactly like it did in game one, where like the advantages is our IG all the way up into, you know, kind of like the mid to late game, there is no late game. That's the kicker. We always kind of, you know, talk about how this Renekton does have a very massive fall off after, you know, maybe 2 or 3 items. He doesn't have as much relevance, but we're going to see now Zika. Yeah, he's going to see if he can maybe try and get himself away. He's going to try and pop down the mist, but everyone's already in it, and it's a little bit of a tea party. So ZDZ picks up that kill. Good roam here from QiuQiu. Gets himself and his team back on the board.
I think that's the response you needed for anyone's legend, right? Especially towards ZDZ, trying to get a little bit of stability in the side lane right now, because as we have already stated, right, they are getting pushed in every single lane at this point, and I think it's good for anyone's legend to at least find something for them to work with in the top side.
Yeah. It's just it's a good roam. It's a good move there from anyone's legend. It could have been you know, running away from them a little bit, but that does obviously mean that they lose priority in the bot side. That gets pushed in. You get a nice early free reset here for Wink and XinLiu. So not going to be the worst thing in the world. And honestly, I'm going to be looking towards where this Renekton can go. Obviously, the big meme, Renekton's bad, Renekton's this, Renekton's that, whatever. He's not that bad, but he does have a very definitive power spike and where he's going to be the strongest. You can see right now Yuekai with the dominance, looking to try and see if he's just maybe able to make something happen with the roaming Xiaohao and QiuQiu, but doesn't really have the position to make anything happen right now.
I think that's a big factor for IG early on right now, has been the movement and the momentum from Yuekai on this Renekton in mid lane, which, you know, I didn't actually expect to see. But I'm excited to see how much he's moved around, how much he's been active early on, because I think that's how Xun is going to help get the rest of the team going. If he does have this double up of pressure with him anytime he's going to forward play.
Yeah. It's just
what priority gets you. Ha ha ha.
That's what it is. But again, IG going to be happy enough to try and maybe, you know, be a bit more aggressive here. Xiaohao going to find that Xun is sitting here on top of him. Moonfall is available should he want to try and go full aggressive, and that's exactly what he's going to do. There's the Crescent Guard. Yeah, they're both on their way as they try to look for this one here. Xiaohao, though, getting right in the perfect position to use the Blast Cone. Gets himself over the wall, and that's going to be Red up again, but they may look for another dive.
This is just constant pressure from IG, and ZDZ might be able to get out of here with a hook shot, but it's going to take a lot of...
He loses so much.
A lot of movement, a lot of vision from anyone's legend up here, and a lot of pressure to be dealt with.
Look at the wave. Look at the wave
so
he's losing
rough
right now. This is huge. It's so rough, and he can't get anywhere near it. He's not even gaining the experience of it. You can see him. He's trying his best, but as soon as he tries to walk forward, now he gets himself underneath the tower, but Needlework comes out. They might look to try and go for the full dive. Forge is here. Xiaohao didn't actually follow his jungler, or his top lane and mid lane, and the Hextech ultimatum comes out. Nobody has tanked just yet, though, and Forge is in trouble. Perfectly executed dive by IG, and this is why you can pick the Renekton.
Anyone's legend are going to be questioning the use of running with scissors there. Zika is 3-1 now. This is terrifying for anyone's legend. It's something that IG can completely play off now. They literally can dominate the map through this lead they've gotten on Zika.
And again, good movements here from IG. We're seeing the power they have with the priority. They force Xiaohao off of this. You can see him. He's nowhere near this play. So by the time he actually tries to make something happen, it's already too little too late.
Yeah, it really is. And I just think the tower aggro here, Yuekai getting out at the last second, getting the healing there, and living at the end. And even if the tower damage doing a lot right now, especially with the updates, it still is manageable if you can approach it right. And that's one thing I've loved about the LPL is we have still seen with all the crazy changes, we've still seen the aggression. We've still seen the dives happening. We've still seen the early pathing, especially in this series, as we see ZDZ and Shun going at it.
Oh, he has a flash available to him. Hookshot should be coming in very soon. Ooh, it was close. But no cigar here for the side of IG. However, they will get the flash and the hookshot out of ZDZ. He cannot contest this Rift Herald anymore. And we're starting to see IG just pull the gears a little bit more, starting to push them a little bit further and forward. 100% kill participation from the solo laners. They have been just bullying ZDZ out, who's 35 CS down.
Yeah, that's just so rough. That's the thing here, is we were talking about both teams opting into the side lane focus last game. It working out for anyone's Legend. Here they go with the Camille option. They look for that to be a strength that they can play off of, right, and utilize that to pull apart IG. But at this point, you're not going to have that for a long time. And so for anyone's Legend or these fights, you're going to have to start grouping up. You're going to have to be in position first. And as we see Dragon spawning here, they're trying to get vision down. They're trying to get some sort of control down here for themselves.
We'll see what they want to go for right now. As you can see now,
Collapsing mid.
Legend. They're collapsing for it, but Wink dodges out. They do get hit by the wind becomes lightning. The flash comes in. He flashes back in. Crescent guard to knock Yuekai back, and they will cake down Wink. But it's not without its trades. It will be a 2-for-1 as the perfect execution comes back. Forge goes off to the left and will not be hit by the needleworks as he goes down. Betty, though, without a flash and without without an arcane shift for another 10 seconds, he has nowhere to go, and he's going to get devoured up, eaten out, dawning shadow. Wink picks up that kill, 2-for-2.
Oh my goodness. It is a back and forth hustle here in this one. But the thing I want to point out for anyone's Legend is they were opting into that style we wanted to see for them. They have direct focus when they come into team fights. They knew they needed to get Wink there, and they do just that. We'll get a replay of that one and how it all started off, but you can see they know who they need to focus, and they go all in to try to do so. Even if it does put them out a little bit in the rain, I think the biggest thing here is that they are finding these kills. They are finding that kind of progression in decision-making within the game.
And again, you know, they try to make something for anyone's Legend. I like the proactivity, but they just have to commit a little bit too much to it. So does it unfortunately lead out to be a wholly positive experience as they drop down Rift Herald as well into mid. That gives you priority over the Dragons. So IG still in the driver's seat, still about 3,500 gold, 2 Dragons ahead now, and they're still on perfect course to continue this win.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be some early game focus here for IG. They still have such lead, even if it's been this tight fight back and forth and you're getting kills going over to anyone's Legend. It's been the map control that's really worked out for them. It's also been the dragon and the cards here, Ocean Dragon Soul coming onto the Rift here, even more focus put onto the objective control that anyone's Legend hasn't been able to get.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's the control that you mentioned there. That's just a big moment here for IG, and we've seen it. How Zika, my boy. It's not how it works, buddy. It always feels so bad when that happens. It always just a moment of just like, oh, now I'm annoyed at myself. But come back into the game. 2 Dragons to the side of IG, and again, anyone's Legend, they find themselves on the back foot. That's similar to game 1. Not as much, I will say, but actually, I'd actually argue it's actually more of a gold lead in favor of IG than it was in game 1. Just a couple more kills to anyone's Legend because you don't get to see the gold lead in games.
Yeah, exactly. We are spotted out just barely there by the ward in the mid lane. I was gonna say Shun was trying to set something up in mid lane. That's something we haven't seen the last little bit. Has been the connection of Shun and Yuekai, which we saw be such a pressure point for IG earlier on.
Well, we might see Yuekai and Zika showing their pressure points right now. As ZDZ, he needs to just run away. He cannot stay here. He's going to lose so much CS, so much experience. And yeah, anyone's Legend, you have to commit 4 people to this. You cannot let this just continue to happen because he's already 40 CS down. He's losing so much experience.
He is. I think that's something we have to keep an eye on because, as we said, right, they drafted this to be a strength in the side lane, but now we're seeing so much pressure from IG that they can't really respond to any of that. They didn't even get the tower. Oh my goodness, they were so close. But now you see all these pings going towards bot lane and towards Betty, who has just been farming up his own, gets a second plate.
Yeah, gets a second plate for himself. Solo plate as well. Ezreal will be scaling up nicely. Should be able to go back fairly soon, pick up his Essence Reaver, probably just before this dragon fight. And again, you're in a situation as anyone's legend. You kind of need to fight at this next objective. You need to make sure that this does not go to soul point because an Ocean Soul, again, for this team, for a Renekton, a Tahm, Kench, a Senna, it just becomes intangible. You cannot deal with it.
I think that's the intangibles that, like, you need to start looking for AL and try to find something in this game because you've drafted this composition that has that high damage, right? We've seen that in that team fight. That's how they got their 4 kills, right? Like, you're seeing some of the possibilities here, but you're also relying on a lot of scaling. You're relying on a lot of late game, especially looking at ZDZ now. Like, he is not going to be a functional side laner until way later in the game, and it's getting to that point where we've seen in other games where it's like, all right, it's starting to get a little harder to attack this composition. We're getting the Senna to come online now. We've seen that be such a crucial pivoting point for the teams that have had the Senna in this series so far, which has been one apiece up until now.
Yeah. I mean, Senna's had a 100% pick rate so far. It's been just so instrumental. Having that Dawning Shadow, the global ultimate, and you can see just how much it can just change around a fight. The extra shielding and healing, of course, it does do a little bit of damage as well. So for IG, they're sitting pretty. Minute 45 until Dragon spawns. They've just taken down top turret. They're going to have pressure on this mid lane as well. So Yuekai is going to probably want to try and push this in, go back, get himself up to maybe his second half item or something like that. So again, it's all on anyone's legend. They need to be the ones that kind of cover their lanes, cover their bases to make sure that they're not the ones getting collapsed upon.
I think the collapse is something that both can look at, but yeah, again, it's something you really have to continue to watch out for, I think. And it's been interesting to see how left alone Betty is down in this bottom lane, and when that starts to come up to something, right, you're still looking at the Sheen with just the mirror mana coming up at about 100 stacks of mana, and I think that's going to be a while for anyone's legend. Again, waiting has been the story for anyone's legend at this point, and IG, they've slowed down a little bit, I will say, but I think you're going to start seeing that pick up in pressure now that you're getting level 11s, you're starting to get the item completions, you're starting to get a lot of strength for IG, and a lot of pressure around the map.
Now pressure on the map, they pick up the Rift Herald. That's going to give them pressure towards this mid. That's going to open up more opportunities for them to be able to pressure towards this dragon. And you can see already, anyone's legend, they're saying, look, we need to fight at this dragon. They put down a literal row of vision on this bot side around the red buff and the back of the Krugs. But they honestly don't even need to use the Rift Herald just yet. They just have to take the turret in mid lane, rotate themselves down. And again, this is where the game starts to get a little bit scary for anyone's legend. You're falling behind the proverbial curve of power, and you need to get that reset from Ezreal now.
Yeah, which I don't know if that timing is going to come exactly when you need it. A little bit late behind the trigger here, and IG could just burn it. But look, they can also look to pressure AL, who could have been moving down this way. They see that there's no vision. There's really no way for AL to approach this at all. Yes, AL are going toward mid lane, but the dragon's already gone. This will be soul point, and even more pressure on the map because now IG have so many decisions that go in their favor in the next couple minutes, right? Yes, it's way too early to look at Baron, but when the next dragon comes up, you can look for those cross-map plays. You can look for the turret plate plays, or not turret plays, turret plays, and trying to get a little bit more ahead in that fashion. I think when you're looking at decision-making here, IG are absolutely in control.
Oh, Betty. He's going to go. Actually,
I was going to say, I see a lot of red bars here.
Actually, not Betty. Gonna go try and fully commit on top of this one here. XinLiu does not pop the grey health, and actually it was a little bit of a combo ambulance, but not for me. Now Xiaohao flashes over the back end of this. Forge taking a lot of damage from the dominance, but as is Yuekai. There's the Tempered Fate coming in. Yuekai flashes away, trying to see if he can catch out DDZ, who goes in with the Hextech Ultimatum, and it's anyone's legend who are turning this one around. Really weird overextension coming out here from the side of IG as XinLiu just decides to go on a solo mission.
Yeah, I don't know what the communication was like right there. I mean, I'm sure they were calling for the TP. I'm sure they were calling for the collapse, but they got collapsed on. Maybe the theme of the game at this point is collapses, but yeah, you see him there, and there's 4 red bars surrounding you, and your TP didn't get started until they're on top of you. It gets a little bit more difficult. We'll see how it all panned out, or at least started out here.
Yeah, I guess they just didn't know where everybody was. Yeah,
Yeah,
straight up. They just
didn't.
had no idea where anyone's legend was. They thought this was a solo Betty, and sadly for them, it's not. And they lose so much because they overcommit to trying to save the play. They end up losing so much after it.
I think that, gosh, that's so unfortunate because you could see where the play, like, the initiation was. I don't know if the whole play was planned out there, but you could see what they were looking for. And turns out AL, right place, right time. Betty himself, right place, right time, getting even more gold and playing to their win condition of wait until the game gets good.
And again, that brings the gold lead. It was about 4.5, now down to about 2.5. So they've already made up about a 2,000 gold lead because of that play. They picked up top tower tier 1 as well. It will be traded now finally for bot lane tier 1. So you can see already Zika is pretty damn big on this Gwen. Already got himself a Zonya's Hourglass and almost towards a Nashor's Tooth as well. So alongside that Riftmaker, he's going to be absolutely insane. We will see the Rift Hell being dropped into the mid lane. Curious to see if it will get a charge off. Xiaohao, Chocho, and Betty are all here, and they have the Tempered Fate. They really do want to try and save this. Yep, there it is.
That's hey, we said it the last time, and the reason why. This is it. This is the moment. It's the big moment on stage for Chocho. But in all actuality, it's just a little minute moment, but it's a big differential for anyone's legend. Not getting that much damage on that middle tower gives you that place to stand on, especially when you're coming up to these objectives that are going to mean so much, right? Like, I know Dragon conversations go either which way, up, down, sideways, diagonal, but an Ocean Soul at this point with this kind of lead for IG would be absolutely monstrous.
Well, yeah, it would be huge, and they've got about just under 2 minutes to figure it out. So, you know, still waiting on a lot of flashes to come available. Not going to have it on Yuekai. Probably won't have it on Shun. Maybe it's a little bit close to the marker, but that's where this game is going to be won and lost. You've got to feel like if anyone's legend can take that dragon, stop the stacking, and kind of stop that early win condition coming out here for the side of IG, you don't have a huge amount of damage. Again, we talked about the Renekton. He's on his probably as powerful as he's ever going to be in this game. The Akali will continue to scale. The Ezreal will continue to get bigger and badder, and it's going to be a lot harder for the side of IG to close out this game if they don't get this soul.
Yeah, exactly. It's come down to this, right? But they also just don't have vision. They don't have control that way. And you're going to see them try to work into it, right? They have a lot of vision in their blue side, but it's about getting the forward vision. It's about making sure you can get the setup for yourself in this kind of position. They have TPs available. We were putting a huge spotlight on that earlier, 3 apiece on each side. But there is a small window here, not for very much longer. But you can try to find something, at least with ZDZ in the side lane, while the setup is here.
Yeah, for Chocho, flash away. They don't land the Moonfall. That's a big engage gone now for the side of IG, but they know that there's only 4v5. They get the Tempered Fate to buy time as Forge comes in on the backside of this. Does not land the Shuriken flip. They will take out the Gwen.
Win this.
You can see now the Renekton trying to do something as much as they possibly can, but he just can't get the damage down. AL turning it right the way around. And you can see already with the Shuriken flips and the 5-point strikes, Forge easily enough taking down XinLiu, and this game is turned on its head.
That's incredible. The flank from Forge, the patience. We'll have to see a replay of that one, but it was all set up from the beginning. Betty hits the True Shot barrage onto Wink. About half his health goes down. Yes, you have a healing, but it's incredible. Now they're doing the Baron as well. I mean, they could just get everything at this point to turn it around.
Yeah, again, this is the problem you have with the Renekton. Yes, you get those early dives. Yes, it becomes a good snowball factor. But when you get to this point in the game where you have got 2 items on your Ezreal, where you are looking at 2 items onto the Akali, and now a Baron, I will say you went for the Baron, but that is going to be the Ocean Soul going over to the side of IG. Kind of maybe went for a little bit too much. Anyone's like now trying to quickly commit to this one here. Forge is there. He will get stunned up just a little bit. You've no jungler. You've no jungler. Shun wasn't there. They get their cake and they have to eat it. Forge now just trying to rampage on this backside. The 5-point strike's going to be good. CDC will eventually fall, but so does the Gwen. They're going to come in with Chocho. Forge is still going strong. That's a triple kill for Forge on this Akali. Chocho got the Tempered Fate. Chocho will pick up that kill, but that is anyone's legend now in complete control of this game.
By golly! Oh my god, they're actually going to take a lead on red side in this series. They take the dragon. They prevent the scaling from IG. This is a complete turnaround right now. 2 minutes still on the Baron. We finally get the replay. And oh my god, again, watch the patience here by Anyone's Legend. The setup onto Wink, he's already half health. The Tempered Fate comes in. Everything is set up for Forge on the side, but it's the frontline fight. The damage that is coming out from Anyone's Legend is intense.
I mean, I guess great kills here, and it looks like Anyone's Legend maybe missed a trick, but IG getting so desperate after the Baron call to try and take themselves the dragon that it just ends up going from bad to worse. And now you're looking at a 2,500 gold lead for Anyone's Legend. They've got themselves their first dragon. You have a 10-stack Medjai's Soul Stealer onto Forge on this Akali after that triple kill. This is just honestly such an unfortunate situation, but I don't think all the scaling in the world from the Senna is going to help you right now, because you're on a timer. This Akali is going to get bigger and badder, and it's going to be harder to deal with.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult, especially with the way that Forge is playing. I mean, this guy is just hunting. And I think when you look at now the position that Anyone's Legend in, where they can force their hand, they have a very scary hand to force. We talked a lot about their target selection, their position they can use in fights to single targets out. And with the advantage they have now, they can do just that willingly.
I mean, they can choose wherever they want to go. There's no lane they have to fear. There is no person they need to be afraid of. And this is a very unfortunate situation for IG. They had the early advantages. They got the snowball started with the Renekton, and a Tempered Fate is fantastic on the XinLiu and Wink, and they know exactly who the carry is. It is onto that Senna, who immediately has to get devoured, but they're still pushing. They do have Baron up for another 10 or so seconds. They should get another wave. They should be able to get this tower.
They should, and a lot of siege pressure here by this crew, and also a lot of setup pressure off of the tower, right? Chocho can land a decent double stun. That'll be a huge start to the fight here if they want to go ahead and call in the cavalry. They're going to go for this inhib, though, too. Yeah,
it's going to be a little harder for them to get it now. They don't have the Baron buff. It would be difficult for them to really solidify this. But then I suppose Anyone's Legends, they're not really going to be afraid of anyone on IG. IG don't have a way of starting off this fight, really, unless Shun gets in with a flash ultimate, which he doesn't have at the moment. He has the ult, but not the flash. It's just no impossible.
Yep, the inhib does eventually fall, even though slowly. It means that IG will have another pain point to deal with at this point, which feels like the game was going so well in their hands, right? They had Soul Point stacked up decently early for themselves. They were in an advantageous position, but they had to take one fight that just goes terribly. They lose the dragon afterwards, and it's just a snowball from AL that is a terrifying thing to watch, right? Like, you have the Maw completed now for Xiaohao. A lot of strength there. He's going to have a stopwatch as well. There's a lot of playmaking potential on Anyone's Legend right now, and they're firing on all cylinders.
Again, it's similar to game 2 for IG, where you're looking at mistakes from Anyone's Legend. You're looking for isolated pickoffs where Yuekai can be relevant, because this Renekton is just not going to have the damage to kill off Forge. He's not going to have the presence to stop anyone. And speaking of which, they're going to say, right, cool, we know we can send Forge down here. He's a level ahead. They can make it work. There is no stun there for Yuekai for a second, but Forge is just going to use this time to say, look, I can clear out this wave. There's nothing you can do about it.
There is not. He has also hit that level 16 mark. Still waiting to put some more chapters in the book, I would say, if you want to keep looking for that stacking aspect for Anyone's Legend. But it's the roaming death squad at this point between Benny, Xiaohao, and Chocho. They have such good pick potential. They're just waiting for this dragon to spawn, but the setup again is so crucial for Anyone's Legend when they come into this fight, right? And they are getting the backs off now. They will have TPs available if they want to try to play some side lane pressure. They try to go for the pick here, though.
I mean, they 100% can. They want to end the game right here, right now. The Cosmic Binding lands after the Tempered Fate. You can see them going in, though, trying to make this one work on the side of IG. The Moonfall is good, but it's not good enough. And that's just too much damage. Zika trying his very best, and he's still doing some decent damage here. Yuekai win alongside him, will get a kill here and a bit of a reset. They will be able to try and maybe get a Call of the Meek off of it, but it's just not enough. You waited too long. The scaling has come in for Anyone's Legend, and they take themselves a 5-for-1 trade.
Yeehaw! Anyone's Legend coming out clutch, getting the first win on red side of this series. Beating the Senna for the first time in this series with the Ezreal that we didn't have faith in. It is the Forge show, the Akali coming in clutch. Anyone's Legend pulling out an incredible 2-1 victory over Invictus Gaming.
Huge win for Anyone's Legend. Brings them up to 3-2 in the standings. Moves IG down.
Look at those smiles.
You see as well.
Look at those smiles.
Yeah, they knew how important this was. Again, you only play against every single team in the league once, so this is huge. It gives you the head-to-head, and it's against someone who would also be playing for playoffs.
Yep, exactly that. And every moment counts. This team has been so exciting to watch. And yes, it's disappointment for IG. It absolutely is. A series they definitely could have won, especially in that last game. They had so much control, but it just was an avalanche from Anyone's Legend, and they played it so beautifully.
Yeah, they really did. And honestly, IG had everything going for them. You picked the Renekton to get those early dives. They did just that. Sadly for them, it just didn't really work out. They had the early dragon stacking, but it just went a little bit too. They gave away a couple of big moments over to the side of Anyone's Legend, who gave them gold, gave them items, and at that point it was kind of like, okay, well, you don't really have a great engage, and they gave it a good shot at the end, but at the end of it all, Anyone's Legend still 3-2. That's a huge start to the season for them. They're already 1/3 of the way there.
And I want to check back into the conversation about, the diamond of the rough. How are these two teams looking? It's still up in the air for me at this point. Like, both teams just had such high highs and such low lows. We got a bit of both of it. And last game, I think it's crazy that we had such one-sided games. The 0-kill game in the first one for Anyone's Legend, the comeback victory in game 2, and then in game 3, we had the start-off victory for IG, and then halfway through, it just flipped sides.
Yeah, honestly, it just felt like both teams showed how good they can be. They also showed how bad they can be as well. But yep, oh god, I can feel a sneeze somewhere there.
Don't do it.
Mute in a second to go. No, I have to sneeze, but maybe I don't. I don't know. I'll figure it out in a second. But maybe I have control over my body functions. But yeah,
Wait,
again, great win for Anyone's Legends, and it was tough. I think after game 1, you would definitely give them a lot more kudos to say how good they actually bounced back in that one. And game 3 was a lot closer for them as well. So I think they learned about how the setup works. They did not allow it to just get scaling, and they did take that big fight around the 3rd dragon, or even the 4th dragon, like I wanted them to. So the proactivity was much better there.
All I'm saying, Oisin, there was one mistake in that game. You want to know what it was?
If it's the hat, I swear to God.
They didn't pick High Noon Senna. That was the problem.
That's honestly, that
was
might have
the
been
problem.
It,
it was the skin. It was the skin. No.
Yeah, I don't even remember what skin they actually picked. I tend to not look at any of the skins.
Wait, why not? It's like the best part of casting League of Legends.
What are you talking about? The best part's the big plays.
It is the big plays. It is the big plays. I was trying to I was trying to enhance my color brain here a little bit, but I couldn't do it. We do see the stats here though, and 100% KP